The following is an official Geeks and Company presentation.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Geeks and Company. My name's JS, and today I want to talk quickly about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Now, this is probably going to be a little bit of a quicker video than the typical, 1-hour podcast that you're used to listening to. But I did want to do a little bit of a spoilerish free review of the movie. So by spoilerish free, I'm going to try to not spoil anything in the movie. Definitely not going to be spoiling the ending or anything like that, but I am going to be giving a little bit of a synopsis a little bit later on here. But first of all, if you haven't already, please make sure you go down below, click that subscribe button, click the like button. It really helps me out here. Being a small channel like I am, every interaction with the channel helps. So make sure you go click that subscribe button. It's totally free, and then make sure that you never miss any videos that I upload. Now, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I guess the first thing I want to talk about is the acting in the movie. I'm going to get to what I thought about the story in a second, but the acting, because I think the acting was far beyond the actual story. I'm not going to lie. Now, I'm going to go through some of the characters here, but the storyline was okay. The acting, I thought, was actually pretty good. I want to start with Awkwafina, because, frankly, I'm not a big fan of Awkwafina. Actually, I don't really like her at all. I don't think I've ever really seen her in anything that I enjoyed. She never really makes me laugh. I know she's supposed to be the comedic relief, but I just don't think she's funny. She actually works in this movie, though. And it works very well. Her character is convincing, and her character goes through a progression and very much changes by the end of the movie. And frankly, I really, really enjoyed what she did with the role, even though she's a sidekick. Let's be honest. She did very well with the role. Now, I didn't write her name down, and I probably should have. The actress that plays Shang-Chi's sister is also quite good. Let me see here. What is her name? No, that is the actress that played his mother. Either way, she was also all right. She also didn't have a very big role. She only had really a few lines in the movie. Her suit, though, wow. I thought her suit was actually better than Shang-Chi's at the end. Her wicked super suit. I really, really love the design and look of this movie, by the way, if you can't already tell. Her suit specifically was amazing. Simu Liu, I gotta say, I guess he was okay, I suppose. I'm assuming he did a lot of the action himself, which is fantastic because the action was amazing. Him as an actor, he was just okay. For me, however, the breakout actor in this movie has to be Tony Leung. He plays Zhu Wenwu, or what we know as the Mandarin. Really, really, really great character. Great actor. The progression that you see in his character from the beginning of the movie to the end, to me, was amazing. I haven't seen him in a lot of stuff. I'm not going to lie. It seems to me he's usually pretty good in the stuff that I see him in. This was the role for him. I feel like he really fit that role to a T, played it amazingly. Kudos to him. For me, he was the breakout performance in this movie. That said, again, not to spoil anything to anybody, Michelle Yeoh is in this movie. A very small role, but amazing, amazing actress. I love Michelle Yeoh. I mean, I don't think there's anything she's ever been in that I didn't like. She's amazing, period. Same thing in this role. Again, it's a very small role, but she's still great. Ben Kingsley, again, not to spoil anything, but spoiler warning, guys. Ben Kingsley returns as Trevor, the actor formerly known as the Mandarin from Iron Man 3. Amazing performance again. Ben Kingsley, again, is an amazing actor. It was great to finally see a bit of a conclusion to that story arc. The whole, well, I'm not really the Mandarin, and well, does the Mandarin even exist? Well, he kind of does. Well, we do see that whole side of the story play out in this movie a few years late, if you ask me, but we still get to see what happens and all that stuff. He has like a fairly decent sized role in this movie. Who else in here? We get cameos. Again, spoiler warning, everybody. If you don't want to know about these, you probably shouldn't be listening to this or even watching this video. But we got cameos from Benedict Wong, obviously returning as Wong, Doctor Strange's sidekick. Again, it's a small role, but great role. We have cameos at the end with Mark Ruffalo and Brie Larson. Now, again, I'm not going to talk about that too much because I don't want to spoil some of these scenes. But it is fantastic that they really linked this movie back to the MCU with Wong, with Trevor, Captain Marvel, Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner. Yes, I said Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner, not as the Hulk. Again, if you haven't seen it, watch it. We don't have any answers, but check it out. But it's great that they actually are connecting this back to the MCU because, frankly, watching this movie, if they didn't make those connections back to the MCU, frankly, it could have just been another movie, not connected to the MCU at all. And it still would have worked. But I think it was great to see this. Now, storyline. How do I put this? For me, the storyline was very basic. It was very much a typical Marvel movie, using the typical Marvel formula. Now, this movie is not in line with the comic book origins of either Shang-Chi or the Mandarin. Frankly, the 10 rings aren't even rings. I'm sure everybody's seen by now in all the trailers, the rings are like bracelet rings. So, don't go in there expecting to see what you are used to seeing in the comic books. These are not the characters that you met in any of the comic books. That being said, the story was very basic to me. It was all right, nothing crazy, nothing too fancy. The acting, like I said earlier, was way better than the story itself. What was really good in the story was the intro to who these characters are. I'm going to give you a little bit of a synopsis here of that. You basically have Zhu Wenwu, who we know as the Mandarin, or the real Mandarin, I should say, finds the 10 rings, which actually aren't rings at all, creates an army that he conveniently calls the 10 Rings, and then goes on this quest for power, wanting to conquer the world and become, the most feared man in the universe over a period of about 1,000 years until he sets his sights on the mystical ancient city of Ta Lo. Now, Ta Lo is known for, being in a different dimension, having mystical creatures, different powers, so on and so forth. He wants to learn the secrets of Ta Lo, so he finds a way there. When he then meets what we assume is Ta Lo, or what I assume anyway, is Ta Lo's gatekeeper. Now, obviously, there's a whole nice fight/dance sequence that shows us that, hey, they've now fallen in love. They have kids. Obviously, Shang-Chi and his sister Xiaoling. Hope I pronounced that correctly. Now, he decides to renounce his warmongering ways and be a dad, be a husband to his wife. His wife leaves Ta Lo to follow him and live in this dimension because they don't like him. The people in Ta Lo don't want the Mandarin or Zhu Wenwu in Ta Lo because of his warmongering ways. But he's renounced all of this. He's now a father, at the very least, until his wife gets murdered. That's when he turns back to basically evil, wants to go after the people that are responsible for his wife's murder, which culminates basically in him sending his now teenage son, Shang-Chi, to kill the man that's responsible for murdering his wife. At which point Shang-Chi decides to run away, hides for many, many years. And that's basically when the movie starts. So all of this is basically just the intro to the movie. Now, the intro, frankly, was almost better than the movie itself. But as much as it was a great backstory, I think what, for me, really, really made this movie beyond the acting is the fight sequence, the action, the choreographies. I mean, it was something else. Visually, this was probably one of the best MCU movies I have seen so far. Even if, like I said, the story, maybe not quite up my alley. Visually, wow, this was incredible. The action was fast-paced. The fights were hard-hitting. Visually, very impressive. There's actually a couple moments in the movie where there's these fights going on and these really hard hits are coming, and I'm thinking, ooh, and I'm reacting out loud to some of these hits because, you can almost feel the impact that some of these fights are having. So on that side, kudos to the MCU, kudos to Marvel, and kudos to the cast of this movie. What a great show in martial arts. Amazing action martial arts movie. Again, if you're seeing this for the story, you are going to be disappointed. This is a popcorn flick as far as I'm concerned. And it's a good one. There's a lot of talk that's been going on online about this movie. And frankly, I don't really get it. I don't understand why people are having such an issue with this movie. Is it the best movie the MCU has to offer? No, definitely not. Even though visually it probably is one of, if not the best one I've seen so far. Is the acting the best that we've seen in the MCU? No, not by a long shot, even though Tony Leung was definitely the breakout performance of this movie. Now, if you haven't seen Shang-Chi yet, make sure you go check it out because I thought it was great. I'm not going to give it an actual score here, although if I had to, you know what, I will. I'm probably going to give this a 7.5 out of 10. Just because, again, the action was amazing. The acting was amazing. Storyline, the backstory was great. The story of the movie itself was not. There was one action scene I thought was a little much. There's a fight scene at one point where they're in scaffolding and they're fighting in scaffoldings. And I've kind of seen a few movies with similar fights before. This one felt a little obligatory almost, where it feels like it's just shoved in there, and maybe they could have skipped that, maybe had a very quick fight scene, boom, move on to the rest of the story. But either way, it was still a very good movie. I really enjoyed it. Definitely not on the lower spectrum of the MCU as far as I'm concerned. It was one of the good ones in the last while. But you know what? You go down below, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. If you've seen it, let me know what you thought of the action, what you thought of the story. If this is a movie that you're going to rewatch again, and what you think the future holds for Shang-Chi. Because again, the ending of this movie kind of leaves us on maybe not exactly a cliffhanger, but the mid-credits scene definitely kind of tells us that there's going to be big things for this character in the future of the MCU. So again, let me know what you thought. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay geeky, and I'll see you next time.